Hi everybody, it's me, Jessica lwhor, and we're back with another JESS Talk. That's right, and this talk is all about rejection. Everybody's favorite knock at the door rejection, and rejection of all kinds. Now, before we get into this week's episode, as usual, so that I don't feel rejected, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications, and what's that third one? What is it? Oh yeah, go stream us. JESS Talks are streaming on all platforms. Okay, rejection. Let's get into it.
Attention lwhor, attention lwhor, attention lwhor, attention. Here I am walking down the street, seeing all the boys trying to take a peek. Shorts pulled up and chest out right. Come on, boys, just take a bite. Look but don't touch, spin it round and round.
Whew, this is a big topic to talk about, rejection. This is like an umbrella term to what? This could be rejection of your family, rejection from a religion, rejection from a job, rejection from a show or a gig opportunity, rejection from a lover, rejection for sex, rejection from your makeup, rejection from your makeup. There are so many possibilities. And so I was like, oh, wow, where are we going to start with this? Let's just start with how awful it feels. Rejection is something that even the strongest people feel a little jab to when they are rejected, okay? Ego kind of gets in the way a little bit. Whether that is in whatever setting, the ego gets in the way, and that's why you feel rejection. You feel that idea. It's not just like the action of it happening. You say, oh, I was rejected, and you feel a certain way because you were rejected. Whether that is great amounts of rejection or just like, that sucked. Like, yeah, it doesn't feel good, but let's carry on with life. And there's so many in-betweens. You do have those exaggerated moments.
I was rejected. This feels like the end of the world. Nothing can compare. This is the worst day of my life. Everything around me is crumbling. The world's about to end. I can't believe this happened.
There's that level. Like trauma for life. Then you have like the, oh, God, that sucked. But easily can wake up the next day and it's not a big deal. And everything in between. Everyone's experiences with rejection are very different. Everyone handles rejection very differently, and I think that's important to recognize, that everyone can feel a certain type of emotion, and you don't have to explain why you're feeling it because it can be just either obvious or just the way you interpreted it, but ultimately, rejection is going to happen, and let people feel and do what they need to do to move on. Now, if it is causing that person harm, or if like they're handling it in a way that is bad, unhealthy, dangerous, then please make sure you're taking care of the people around you and yourselves, and that you're not going down those routes. Let's talk about rejection from family. I think that this is the one that hurts the most to me. Rejection from family, I didn't even realize as I continue to get older, which I like to say a lot on these JESS Talks, you realize stings in different ways. You know, I was never that kid in college or even in my adult life where I have friends and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to go see my family this weekend. Like, I go home every Sunday and have dinner. Or now that I live far away, I try to go visit them once a month. Or I text my mom every day. Or I blanked. I get a text from my mom every day. I love to go on vacation with my family instead of I have to go see my family, or, it's a funeral, so I have to see my family. I haven't seen them in so long. Or this idea of like dreading to be around them, or you're not even welcome. And so I feel as I've gotten older, I am envious in some ways of that, because I'm like, it seems so easy and so simple for people's parents to accept them. That's such a wild concept when I have been inserted to so many families, or there's a family that goes to drag brunch together.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that
it couldn't be me. And mind you, I think I'm talking about rejection with my parents. I'm not rejected from the entirety of my family. And I think that I'm talking specifically about the rejection from my parents. It seems so wild to me that your parents have an active choice of being part of your life just as much as you do to be part of their life. And some will take the you didn't follow my rules, you broke a religious thing, I don't like that you're gay, you live a lifestyle that I don't appreciate, you don't matter to me, whatever the reason is, it doesn't feel good. Even if it's been many, many, many years where you have not had a relationship with your parents and maybe they've passed on, I think that everybody goes through an inkling of this idea of the two people that created you in some way, that exist together, that live 20 minutes down the street, you haven't spoken to or seen in years. There's something weird about that. The people that are supposed to love you to the extent of unconditional love. That doesn't ever add up to me. That rejection, I think, will always sting and be rooted into so much trauma that I'm working out in therapy, kids. But ultimately, you learn to manage it, this rejection from your family. But in certain situations, when you're around others, sometimes just in your head, it kind of stings. It really kind of stings. That rejection is something I don't think you ever get over. You just, even if they're the worst parent, it's not necessarily wishing that parent was your parent, but that idea of having a positive parent and influence is really what I'm leaning on. The idea that a positive, loving, unconditional, caring, in your best interest, you can confide in, that you can be vulnerable in, that will make sure that you always have food in front of you or a place to live or do their best to make you happy exists. Wild to me. Non-judgmental. It's weird when my mom's my best friend. My grandma is my best friend. And there are some people that are so close to their grandparents even and have that same rejection. Whoever that figure is for you is really what I'm getting at. How many times am I going to say that on this? Just talk. So then let's talk about the second one. Religious rejection doesn't really bother me very much. I feel like if I really wanted to dress like a straight, I could go dress like a straight and go to church and feel safe and whatnot. But every time I've gone into a church, I've gone in with my nails, wearing bright colors, being a little bit more femme. Have I gone in full drag? No. And I've been really appreciative that I've never had instances. I've never had full rejection from the church. I've just been told I will be rejected. I've never had people outside of people on the streets or random people that are protesting a drag show that are like, you're going to go to hell, bad, gay is bad. Nobody has come up to me and made that argument so direct to me to make me feel that I was rejected. I feel like I can go into a church if I wanted to. I feel like I can practice religion if I wanted to. And I know many queer religious people or people of faith. And I think it's just all what you handle. So that one's not a big one for me, personally. I know people that are really impacted, that they've made religion their entire life and their mindset, their goals, they've done everything right, and then this thing happens, and then they're rejected from the church. And it's that place of belonging. Rejection is that place of belonging. I feel like I fit here. I'm good for this. And this could work. I'm feeling real confident. And then let's see, rejection from sex. Let's talk about that. You're hitting on somebody, they're not into you. You're flirting with somebody, but they're not getting the message. Maybe there's not an interest, it's just not matching up. Rejection from sex can sting in ways that are, again, about the ego, where you might feel real good that day. You're like, well, I look great. I feel sexy. I feel like I'm wearing the right outfit. I've got the right energy. And then boom, they're like, no, it's not going to happen. And although you are respectful, of course, when somebody says no to you, inside you're like, well, is it me? Is it something that I said? Is it the way I look? Is it that I'm not attractive or sexy? And that's where that ego gets in. And so some people don't really focus on that. And I think I've been in both situations where I've been like, hey, you want to hook up? I'll just suck your dick. And they're like, hey, no thank you, really not interested. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And then I go to the next person, I'm like, hey, you gonna suck your dick? But I think rejection in terms of sex from people that you have an emotional connection with hits a little different. That's where you start to think about a lot of those things. Is something wrong? Did I do something? Am I not sexy enough? This could be with a partner. Maybe this is with somebody that you're friends with benefits with, or somebody that you've regularly hooked up with. Maybe this is a friend that you've decided to get sexual with, and now you're getting in your head about it, or it didn't work out. Whatever the reason is, I think that emotional connection for sexual rejection is, and yeah, it stings, but ultimately I think for me, it's one of those like, oh God, that hurts. Like, why? Like, this could be so hot together. And then I realized it's just not a big deal. Wake up or go get pizza. Oh God, when you're rejected from sex, go get fast food. Oh my gosh, nothing cures rejection from sex than a little bit of a wank and some Chiba Hut, okay? All of and then you put on some crappy, done. What sex? What rejection? Easy fix. So that one does have a cure. Highly recommend. Rejection from a job. This was really hard for me. When I put my entire being into something, my blood, sweat, and tears into an organization, into a position, into a group, into my job, into something that I love, it really hurts for a long time for me. And this is where I hold grudges. I don't hold grudges anywhere in my life, but I will hold subconsciously a grudge to some of the experiences I've had with job rejection, not drag gig rejection, but job rejection. When I was in college, for example, I invested myself into the Intermountain affiliate of college and university residence halls. IACUR. Also invested myself in the International Association for College and University Residence Halls, NUCUR.
What did you call me?
These all sound like venereal diseases. We say it all the time. But I was in charge of being on the board of directors for helping to recruit new schools, and we got to this moment we were up for re-election. And I decided to go for a different position and then go for the one I didn't get that one, so I went for this next one. I didn't get that one. I went for this third one, the one that I was originally in, and I didn't get that one. Everybody voted. All my friends, all the people voted no. And I was crushed. I remember not being able to keep it together because they came out, and my mentor, Kyle, who I would consider one of the greatest people in my life and in my existence, Kyle Oldham, came out and told me the news, and I went back to the room because I immediately started bawling. I was so let down that I went and I cried and I bawled, and when I look at it now, it wasn't a big deal, but it was one of those moments where I felt like it was the end of the world. Like, I wanted it so bad. I wanted to be part of this experience. I felt like I did a good job to be a part of this experience. And I never went back. I finished out my last year begrudgingly, bit my tongue when it came down to it. But it hurt. My mentor came and hugged me. We explained it's going to be okay. Obviously, I'm fine now, but I will never forget it. That was really hard rejection in terms of a job. Over COVID times, I wasn't one of the people that did unemployment. I immediately was like, I need to go find a job, and went and got a job at Target. While I was at Target, which I did not enjoy very much, but while I was at this job at Target, I was trying to find other places of work. I was like, this is a sign that I need to retire from drag, and I need to use my degree and go get a big kid job.
I'm a big kid now.
What I was saying at the time. This is a big kid job, but just very different. Office job, a 9 to 5. And I had to manipulate my resume because I had 7 years of drag experience. So instead of being like, I host a drag show, in charge of coordinating and organizing 10 to 15 events per month. Like, you have to quantitate it in a resume to make it seem more appealing. Because you find out really quickly when you talk about drag being your only experience in 7 years, it doesn't matter what events you've done or how many companies you've worked for, people kind of laugh in your face a little bit. And that was a big reality check. So I did everything I could not to bring up drag, but stick on the entertainment consulting kind of verbiage. And I remember several interviews being rejected because they kept prying and prying about the entertainment piece, and then all of a sudden the drag comes out, or they ask for a certain example, and you give them an example of like a time you had to handle a difficult situation, but they don't resonate with that because that's not the difficult situation I would have to deal with in their work environment. It was very difficult getting rejected, and I was like, shit, I'm wanting to quit drag. I'm not going to get a job. There's even an interview I was speaking, and somebody in the office down the way said,
Is that Jessica lwhor?
because my voice is very distinct. And so they did, and I was like, oh, God. And came in, oh, my God, I love you. And I was like, yeah, I'm applying for a job here. And they're like, oh, I hope you get it. Did not get it. There was even a point where I got a third interview for an economics management database company. And I don't know anything about economics database management, but I made it to the third interview, and I did not get on further. But if I would have been accepted of that job, it would have been great money, but I would have failed miserably. I didn't know. I can't even spell economics. That's where we're at right now. I got to the second stage of Southwest flight attendants. I thought that could be really cool, and then I couldn't find the balance because once I got rejected so many times from jobs, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm beating myself up. Obviously, drag is what I'm meant to do. Let's start performing in the bathroom. And so that's the solution. It was like a drive to prove that I could do it.
You can do it!
And that if nobody was going to hire me in the real world, quote unquote, that I was going to make this shit happen. And my business took off because of that drive. I would say if you're rejected from a career or a job, the best F you, the best revengeance, because I hold this on as a grudge, is the biggest fuck you is to continue to be successful, find a better job, and say, oh, thank God I'm not working there. Chef's kiss. I was rejected from... No, I wasn't really rejected. I was demoted for another episode. Yeah, so let's go about rejection from gigs. Rejection from gigs, I think now, when I was younger in the drag scene, I think I took it more personally. Like, why don't you want to book me? I bring all these outfits. I'm early. I sew my own things. I do the great makeup. I have a great attitude. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. That's what I realized as I produced shows and as I continue to get older in the drag scene, is that sometimes your rejection isn't personal whatsoever. I have been rejected from gigs with no response. I've been rejected from gigs and they said we decided to go in a different direction. Rejected from gigs that said you responded too late. We can't afford that. There's just so many different aspects to it. And when you realize that there's always another gig waiting, it's going to be okay. You can find gigs. You're always going to get rejected from stuff. It hurts when you really want it. Like, I really, really wanted to work this brunch festival, and we agreed to it. Everything was great. And then, like, the week of, they decided to go with somebody else. And that pissed me off. That was like rejection, but unprofessional rejection. Like, if you didn't want to go with me, you should have just said you didn't want to go with me to begin with. But you led me on. You agreed to it. There have been gigs where I've been rejected because of a rumor.
The rumors and nastiness about her?
I tried to do a body positivity show one time, and I was rejected because some of the cast members felt that I body shame others. And I don't know who said it. I don't know to what reason, but that rejection hurt. I really wanted to donate my time, my talents, to something that I care about, something that I incorporate into my life, and I was rejected from that. I was rejected from a community group on Facebook for all artists in Colorado, burlesque entertainers, drag, and I went to request access to it. I was denied, messaged the administration, and they said, too many of the folks in this group feel as though you don't belong in this group. I responded very respectfully. That's one thing. Always respond to rejection with as much calmness, unless it's like time to strike kind of thing. I say thank you so much. I would love any feedback to know what I can do to improve to make others feel more comfortable, or to know if there's any opportunities in the future or whatever. But sometimes, like with that brunch gig, I'm like, why did you book me? You have to stand up for yourself with rejection. You're rejected, but there's a moment where you should stand up for yourself and realize that it is okay to speak your mind, and it's always okay to speak your mind, but in a different tone, and be like, call out that shit. Call it out.
Name them. Name them.
Well, what you did was ridiculous.
Name them.
Not having.
Yeah, so that would be rejection with gigs. Don't take it personally. Sometimes people are busy. They're going through shit. Sometimes they just don't want to book you. Sometimes you're not what they're looking for. Handle rejection knowing that there's another opportunity available and you did all you could to get that booking, period. Move on. Don't harp on it. Same thing with rejection from Drag Race, or if you audition for something. Yeah, it sucks, but what are you going to do? Sit in the suckery, or just keep going on with life, and maybe the next time it won't suck? I don't know. That's what I got to say. I keep doing this. Like, yeah, hello. Rejection because you're a drag queen and they don't want to date someone that's drag, someone that's femme. That is really hard. You're like, I'm literally being who I am. Drag is like your job, but you're so obsessed with that you want nothing to do with me. Make it make sense.
The fuck? Who you think you are?
You're insecure. You're insecure. You should always date a drag queen. We're very fun. My makeup has rejected me many times, and I wish I had the solution to it, but there was one time I was in New York, and it was so hot, and I couldn't even transfer the makeup. It just moved with the sponge, and I couldn't get it to stick on my face until I cooled off. I was like, yeah, it was impossible. Sometimes my eyes reject my makeup all the time, and I have no idea why. We've been having some good eye days lately, so knock on wood. Sometimes my dick rejects me, and it pops out, and I untuck, or my ball slips. I don't know why. I'm just getting silly now.
It rejects being
tucked
combined.
up. Yes, it's like, I'm coming out today. And don't even get me started on rejecting other people. Everybody's rejected somebody. Everybody has been rejected in some way, shape, or form. I'm no saint to this. I've rejected people from shows, from opportunities, from dating, from hookups, everything that I'm talking about and more. Friendships, because it just wasn't going to work, and I was trying to stop it in its tracks before it got escalated into something worse. I'm not saying I'm a saint. I think it's all about how you handle rejection and being intentional, honest, and authentic about the way that you're rejecting somebody, because they might ask you, and it might suck to hear, especially if you're curious, but that's part of the gig. Yeah, rejection overall isn't good. It doesn't feel great. I would find ways to manage it, because the longer you stew in rejection, the more you're taking away from other things and bigger opportunities and feeling better about yourself that are ahead of you in the future. Sometimes you just have to let it go. Unless it's a job, then you can remember that shit forever. Tell me down below some of the worst times that you've been rejected, or some of the things that you've rejected somebody about. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Attention the whore.
Hi, little whores. It's me, Jessica lwhor. And did you know that I'm on Cameo? That's right. Cameo is a platform where you can get personalized messages from me, the biggest whore in all of Colorado. Whether it be a birthday sing-along, a bar mitzvah, a congratulations on your new job, a congratulations you didn't get pregnant, I'm your whore for the message. So follow the link below, click it, and book your next Cameo to surprise your best friend, your grandma, your family member, or any other little lwhor fan out there. Come on, book them now.